Welcome to the Aussie Grappling Girls podcast,
where we talk all things female jiu-jitsu.
I'm Jo.
And I'm Hannah.
And together, we're Johanna. So, what are all the different types of martial arts and training that you've done?
Tried to do wrestling in high school as best I could. I hurt my knee, and there was also other things going on in my life, but that was the first thing. And then I went to classical Aikido, almost in the same breath as I'm wrestling. I was doing Aikido at the same time.
Yeah.
Two vastly different types of things. One being the sport-based, full contact. The other being a martial way, a classical Japanese.
Yeah.
And very classical setting with all the ceremony that goes along with classical.
And that's where we get the arishiki. Is that stem from that?
Arishiki would be in the same sort of area as that, but
it's a lot more elaborate with that one, isn't it?
And it's not as elaborate as it could be, because I don't really expect people to learn to speak Japanese and stuff like that. Whereas when I trained in Aikido, you had to learn to speak Japanese, but it was only martial arts Japanese.
Yeah.
Right. So you kind of feel a bit silly. At least I felt a bit silly. You probably want to be able to ask for some eggs and where the toilet is and be polite to people, instead of just being able to say break fall and left side, right side, and count to 10 and all that sort of stuff. But
go to Japan and just bust out what you know.
Oh, and you probably sound like a fool, you know what I mean? Think about it. And it's in the back of my mind, learning English and French growing up in school, having that understanding of two different languages to a degree, and then attempting to take on this third very foreign language.
Oh, it's so different.
I learned it because I had to, and I was happy to learn it, but it was never something that I actually really involved myself in. I could just be polite to people, that's all.
Yeah.
Jo, you started learning Japanese, didn't you?
Yeah, I did French at uni, and then I decided to do Japanese as well. And the problem was I had them on the same day, though. So I had Japanese for 3 hours in the morning and French for 3 hours in the evening. It was, oh my God, it was the worst semester of my life. I was so tired on Wednesdays. Because then I had training and everything. And it was just, I couldn't.
I'm home speaking gibberish.
My dreams that night were always just all over the place. But because Japanese and French are so different.
Oh, like I said, just completely different.
Yeah, all that. Yeah. And so after that, what did you do?
I trained in Aikido until, and there was a little bit of on and off as a result of life and the way life is when you're a teenager and more family circumstances and that sort of stuff. I had to do a bit of traveling to maintain a relationship with both of my parents that were living in different places. And I did a little bit of Goju karate in Canada. Yeah. But it was a very small period of time. It didn't last that long. And then I came to Australia. When I came to Australia, I trained at Yan De Yong in Perth. That was the first place I trained in Australia. And because I had already trained in Aikido, I decided to continue doing that there for a while. I met a fella that I worked with named Jason Eek, and he taught me Goju Karate. And that was very informative, classical Japanese, Okinawan Japanese striking. It was fun. It was basics. It was we did lots together. He and I trained together a lot. We did lots of conditioning things and lots of classical kata, which is forms. And in hindsight, I think that it would definitely assist my ability to move my body well when you're practicing forms and kata. But their practical value sometimes could be questioned, and that's my personal opinion, of course.
Yeah.
After I trained with Jason, I gave up this job that I had and went and studied with a person by the name of Patrick McCarthy. And he was teaching at the Australian College of Natural Medicine, a diploma of martial arts instruction, which is a very unique little feather that I have in my cap that I think is very cool, very valuable. The course was designed to assist anybody teaching any style of martial art, for that matter, but At the same time, we also practiced and learned Koru Chanari, Karate Kempo Jutsu. He's very well known in the karate circles around the world. He's definitely one of those persons that you would rate when it comes to understanding kata forms and their application processes. Not to mention the development of two-person drills. Yeah. If you think about it, wrestling is a two-person thing. There's no doubt about it. There's no punch in the air and stuff like that. And then, of course, you find yourself in karate and you might end up doing kata forms, things by yourself, as well as partnered work. And then you go to somebody that had a very practical way of looking at it that made them functional. That was Patrick McCarthy for me. And opened my eyes about why it is that I was actually doing kata. Good for your body. Good to keep you fit, work your reflexes, your balance, your agility. But I think you can spend too much time in that place as well. At that time, there was a fellow by the name of Darren McKean. Actually, I should take a step back. Just before I went to train with Sensei Patrick McCarthy in Brisbane, I trained at the Submission Factory with Troy Flugie and Stacey Wilson. I remember the first time I went in there with my gi on, white belt. Pretty easy for me to do that.
You know what year that was?
Pardon?
What year that was?
It'd have to be 94, 5.
Well, Subfac was open 94, 95.
It was in Kingsley, and it was like a very small... almost like a hallway. It was just really narrow, and there's a bunch of dudes out there around that you know that would remember it. But I still remember it. I was in the back corner, Stacy, and he facing in front of me on his hooks, bow and arrow choked me, and I just went, oh no, I need to learn all of this too. And I think that there's a lot of people that have trained in classical karate or other martial arts that have come across jiu-jitsu, specifically submission grappling style or Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and just gone, oh, I need to get to work. No, that's not a bad thing. So I did train at the Submission Factory before I went to Queensland. And I remember thinking to myself that if I ever was back in Perth, that I'd go back to the sub factory and train again anyway. So I trained in Brisbane for 2.5, 3 years full time, as in like it was a job. I decided to do a double diploma, and I studied remedial massage at the same time. I reached some fancy rank in Koru Chanari, and at the same time I befriended a person that I sat next to in a massage class named Darren McKean. That's where we are. Turned and looked at his ears, and he had these chewed up ears. In fact, he had to get his ear holes bored out because they completely closed. And he obviously didn't have any. There was no ear care. People didn't think it was a cool thing. As in like to manage that sort of thing. They just thought, I'm getting cauliflower ears. This is great. Which I think is a huge mistake. You might as well show everybody your cards. You're either a rugby player or you're a mixed martial artist. And then, well, that might actually draw you into stuff. Anyway, Darren McKean sitting next to me, tiny guy. I would have had 15, 20 kilos on him easy. Wiry, happy, friendly, nice. And he choked the shit out of me. And I loved it. And so there was definitely, at that point in time when I was training with Patrick McCarthy, that feeling of, I have to continue doing this. And I would arrange for him to come and do private sessions, and he would train with me. He brought a couple of his guys, a fellow by the name of Chris. I can remember his surname. But they were tough guys, and I just wrestled with them all the time. There was a few guys that were studying at the Australian College of Natural Medicine with me that were keen and interested, and then there was dudes that were like, I ain't doing that. We're doing stand-up stuff. And it was really perplexing moment in time for me where I'm going, you have to learn everything as best you possibly can. And stylistically, you can call it whatever the heck you want to call it. 2 arms, 2 legs, and a neck. That's what they should call it. And then how do you deal with, first of all, self-defense, acts of physical violence, and then secondly, how do you prepare yourself for a mutual confrontation such as a mixed martial arts fight or a Muay Thai fight or a wrestling match. But
I was just saying, it shows, because you, like, coach, like, martial arts and that, you can see where you've kind of got these bits of everything that you've adapted it for, like, specifically.
You bring some of that still
Like,
into the when you teach us. You bring random bits in.
Yeah, the pedagogical principles that we learned from Patrick McCarthy, in my opinion, are the only reason why teaching works for me. There's no doubt about that. I went to learn how to teach martial arts.
Yeah.
I didn't really care about the style, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the fact is, in Kurochanari, we wrestled on the ground and tried to kill each other too. We just didn't have the same technical prowess at that point in time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And once again, that's my opinion. But that's also because I was wrestling with guys that just did BJJ, and they were very focused and specific on what it is they got up to.
Yeah.
I would also say at that point in time, it was super old school Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There wasn't any of the crazy stuff you see these days. Yeah. It's definitely changed. That's definitely the case. I graduated from the Australian College of Natural Medicine, a 5th Dan Renchi license, which means a teacher's license in Kuruchanadi. Still a white belt in BJJ. Came back to the sub factory and trained with Troy. Stacy was in England for most of that time, but trained with Troy, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it, and it was tough and hard. He talked me into competing for the first time in BJJ, and ever since then I've always tried, except for the injury business.
Injuries suck.
Injuries are a part of life, and they do suck. Got my blue belt from Troy Flugie. Would have been 3 months later. We decided as a family to move down to Albany to get away from the city. Didn't want my kids to go to school in Perth.
Yeah.
And Troy pulled me aside when he found out, berated me, was upset at me, couldn't believe that I was leaving, didn't want me to leave, which was obviously made me feel really...
that would have been very emotional.
Yes, because I love that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I care about him a lot.
Yeah.
And
you'd hate to feel that you were letting him down by leaving. And
he said, you're going to have to get some mats and make sure that you do it down there.
Yeah.
And he did say to me, build it and they'll come.
Yeah.
And it still always resonated in the back of my mind in those early days at the Denmark Surf Life Saving Club, where Mitsu Domoe Martial Arts Academy started. Yeah. Yeah, and trained there for a bunch of years. So,
what year do you reckon you started?
It's a funny thing. People ask me about years. Some people remember years. I don't know. I don't even care. It's a weird thing. Like, I could sit here and try and calculate the years that we've been over here. But if you ask me what year we moved into Hercules Crescent here in Albany, I don't know. It's a bunch of years ago. Yeah. I don't keep track of those sorts of things. I could remember your face forever. Yeah. There's certain details. I've got it on a contract, and I know where the contract is in my house. Yeah. But I don't remember years. Yeah. Yeah. You know, the when it comes to dates and times, if remembering things from the past, I remember my sister's birthday. I'll never forget that. She's my older sister. But there's other dates where I just it's got nothing to do with it.
I'm the same.
It doesn't really matter.
I don't remember dates at all.
A bunch of years ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy for me because it's in the past, but that's me.
Well, I know it's more than 5 years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we're talking... been as long as I've been there, so...
Yeah. You didn't come and train in Denmark, did you?
No.
It has to be at least 10.
It's definitely that, yeah.
Because I remember, like, one of the guys I was friends with back in the day, and I remember him talking about two of them, like, going over to Denmark to train, and I didn't know what it was. So it has to be, and I've known him for 10, 11 years, so it has to be about that.
Yeah, 2007 or 8 or something like that, maybe. And we were at the Denmark Surf Life Saving Club for a few years. I would go back and forth. I would go to all of John Will's seminars as best I possibly could. I tried to compete. I was going to compete in the John Will Machado's the same year that Troy died. And that was brutally sad and horrible. And that's just the way that it is. And then the following year, I started to really focus on competing. Yeah. And went to that one. And yeah, that was important. I remember competing in that as a purple belt. and my entire focus was I'm going to do as best as I possibly can for Troy. And I remember when I won, both in my weight and in the opens, I was crying on the mat. I remember I had to kind of run off the mat. People were trying to talk to me, and I had to run off and just go be by myself because it was so huge. I just tried to honor him with as best of an effort as I possibly could, and I think I was fighting pretty good at that point in time. Yeah, it wasn't too.
There wasn't too many high belts then, was there? Because I kind of only ever remember there being a handful of coloured belts when I even started.
Yeah, there was only a couple of blue belts when I started.
My first experiences of competitions were white belts, couple of blue belts. I remember Will Diaz and Steve Kennedy fighting each other as white belts. Brian Embersol, fighting as blue belts. And so I don't know if that puts that into context at all.
Yeah.
But to see a purple belt was just non-existent, let alone a brown belt, and I don't think I saw a black belt compete in a Perth competition, until maybe...
I imagine it would be the same for us, because I remember distinctly remembering getting to roll with Jess Fraser and a higher coloured belt. She was a brown belt, I think, when I first met her. Did you have those moments when you were coming up the ranks, oh my god, I just got to roll this brown belt, or how amazing are they, and just being overwhelmed with their technique. That's the thing that I remember when I roll higher belts is
I don't think that
they answer so much stuff.
The white belts at our gym won't know that sort of the novelty of finally meeting a brown belt or a purple belt, because when we started, you were brown and we didn't have any purple belts yet.
No.
For a couple of years, so but the novelty of going to Perth and actually
it was really awesome. It was so exciting to go and have these coloured, especially females at that stage, because they weren't around.
Very few and far between.
There was in the early days there was no girls in comparison. If you did the maths, if you did percentages, really there was maybe 8% or 2.
Yeah.
Right, and nowadays obviously it's definitely opened up, which is much better for everybody, the sport as well. I had the pleasure of training with guys like Stacey Wilson, with Troy Flugie, with Lee Berger, with Jamie Morrison, with Brandon Chin.
They're OGs now.
And it's the best thing ever. They were Steve Kennedy. I remember when Diogo Concioni, I'm not sure if I say his name right, when he came from Brazil and taught at the Sub Factory, and he was that was one of the first Brazilian black belts I'd ever met. Not to mention he's a judo player as well. Yeah. He was teaching judo classes there too, and I took the judo class. I took everything when there was a class. Okay, I'm in. And if I didn't show up, people would call me, "Are you all right? What are you doing?" I just couldn't come that night. But it's definitely changed as far as that goes. The depth and the breadth has definitely increased in what we get up to. Strictly due to the popularity, I suggest.
You would have seen so much of the evolution of the sport in your time of doing it, though, as well.
I was one of those guys that saw Hoist Gracie and went, I need to study something else. I need to study what he's doing. Yeah. Oh, he wears a gi. And I connected with the gi straight away. Yeah. Because when we train in classical karate jutsu, you wore a gi. Yeah. Different gi. And then when I put it on, I went, this is the same as my Aikido gi, or this is the same as my Judo gi. Yeah. I probably skipped a little bit there at the start. At the beginning, I did a little bit of Judo when I was a kid. But, the fact that it's expanded the way it's expanded now, it's just amazing. Because all Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at that point in time was in the gi. Yeah. Nobody wrestled no gi. Didn't happen.
Did you start when you did Mitsu in Denmark? Did you do only gi back then, or did you? I always
half and half. Yeah, we always took our gi tops off because I personally believe that the value in training gi and no gi is equal. Yeah, they're two very specific things when you get down to it. But as far as your foundations go, you have to be prepared for both. Yeah, but that's the self-defense link too. Yeah, somebody's got a jean jacket on; it's the same as a gi. Yeah. Somebody's got no shirt on, It's the same as no-gi. You have to be prepared for both those things. There is still that old school link to self-defense for me, and I expect everybody that comes to learn from me to have a good understanding of self-defense. Remember, you got to run first, right? Get away. There's no referee. You know, it's those sorts of things I think are huge. Yeah.
It's funny people's mentality. They kind of go, "Oh, you train, so like you can totally fight." And I'm like, "Yeah, the first thing you learn in self-defense is get the hell out of there. Like if you can't be there." And it amazes me that people don't. They're surprised at that response. You're like, "Why would I want to fight? Like I could get hurt." It's unfathomable. Like how it's you kind of. Running away is a good option.
I actually believe it's intelligent.
Yes.
Yeah, it's if you want to butt heads with somebody, then go for it. But in the context of the real world, you have no idea what's going to happen. Yeah. I did policing for 6 years, and I had a job where I was not allowed to run away. That was my job, and I enjoyed that job. It was a good job. It was a good practice of what it is that we got up to when I was training martial arts. But I even forgot to mention that I trained with Brian Mackey and got a black belt in Goju Kai karate too. Trained in Thailand and Muay Thai. You kind of just go and do everything.
Which one is
did modern Arnis with a fellow by the name of how could I forget his name?
Didn't you do like a weaponry one?
Kurt. Part of.
I don't know which one is which, and so which one belongs.
As far as weapons goes, Patrick McCarthy taught something called Yamani-Ryu Kobudo, and it is a part of Korochinari.
Yeah, okay.
And I trained modern Arnis with a fellow by the name of Kurt Graham, which was, in my opinion, highly influential for me.
Because I remember we did the stick.
It's exactly.
And when it was just you and I and no one else down the girls' class, then you would take out that. And it was really interesting. It was fun and different. And made your brain kind of go into somewhere else because it was so new and you had to think about so much more. It's really cool.
Yeah, when you have to think about a weapon, that's this changes things.
It's very, and that's the real world. That's why running is the best option. You don't know what's going to get pulled out, you know, and you grew up in a place where I've grown up where, you know, if you were in Detroit and you got in a fight, somebody might have a gun, let alone a knife, let alone a stick, let alone rip a windscreen wiper off the front of a car, you know, all those things.
You make it sound like it happened.
It savagely changes the potential of an altercation. Yeah.
I've never heard of that as a weapon, but
they work, trust me. And it's going to be a bloody affair too. Yeah, it's not.
God.
But the brutality of self-defense.
Yeah.
You can't. There's no rules.
Yeah.
There's no rules. You know, you can wrap a stick with barbed wire and whack people with it. That's what the real world is really like. Whether anybody likes it or not, it's irrelevant. You know, some people are deranged and have no problem with trying to maim somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find that you teach girls the same as guys, or do you change how you do things a bit differently?
Every individual is treated that way from my perspective. That's what I try to do.
Yeah.
It's not cookie cutter though. It's not like you have to do this and fit into this mold, except for the etiquette and protocol that exists in the dojo. I keep hitting the mic, I'm sorry. Talking with my hands, but you can't see. So whether you're a boy or a girl really doesn't matter within reason, in my humble opinion, because what is it? It's 2 arms, 2 legs, and a neck. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever felt everyone seems to get treated equal, but I didn't know if there was thought processes that you have
approach
to different things,
different considerations, I suppose.
Well, yeah, obviously, women and men are significantly different in their body parts and that sort of stuff, and you have to create a comfortable, trusting environment in order to gain trust when it comes to women a little bit more than men.
Definitely.
But you also have to understand that I've experienced teaching men that are
really uncomfortable.
just as uncomfortable as any, in fact, more than some of the women that I've taught.
Well, I think with BJJ, I think the first initial confronting thing is the fact that you usually start between someone's legs. Like, for both guys and girls, I think that's a really, like, oh my god, it's just such a weird thing for everyone to...
Or at the very least, squeezing your body against them as tight as you possibly can,
Yeah.
driving your forehead into their chin whilst you're trying to pick them up and trip their leg and land on top of them. It's different to getting punched in the face with a boxing glove.
Yeah, there's such a distance, and...
It's the combative engagement distance in what we get up to, submission grappling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is confronting. It doesn't matter if you're
I don't think when I first started, I didn't really ever feel that bad about it, but I think that's just because I had brothers, like 4 brothers, and
it definitely has to do with your upbringing.
like I never really felt uncomfortable with jiu-jitsu and that proximity and that sort of thing. But I know it's been something that a lot of girls that have come in you can tell that they're really weird about it or uncomfortable, or sort of like, really?
Yeah, and when you bring it back to what is the most effective means for controlling somebody, which is what we do, in my opinion, that's the most important part: position, position, position. Some of those positions could be seen to be, compromising for some.
Yeah.
As far as control goes, they are compromising. They compromise the person's ability to defend themselves.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting on somebody's head, it's just, of course, it's
Teabagging him.
yeah, exactly. Not to mention, some people's hygiene habits aren't the best, so that creates a whole other issue.
Yeah, that's
I remember not having like a full-on panic attack, but that first major time of being like squashed and just kind of your breathing starts going erratically and you don't know what to do. I don't really remember it so much, but I just remember like, get off me! And it really was like confronting in that sense, because I've got sisters. We didn't wrestle.
I just got more aggressive.
Yeah. Well, I remember both of you when you both first arrived. I remember thinking to myself, Hannah, you're very small. And it's not a bad thing. It's just the way that's just you, and we all accept that. We don't have a choice. And of course, you have care and concern that you're going to get broken as a result of somebody not having control, not what you do, what somebody else does in relation to trying to hold you down, right? And then with Joe, totally different story there. I was worried for the boys. I thought my hands were rubbing together, and I'm going, wow, this girl's almost as big as me. And she's coming at me like a crazy person. I choked her 5 times, and she gets up and turns and faces me and says, let's go, keep going. And so, there's 2 very different... Now, I tried not to deal with you in any difference. You were both the same to me. Yeah. In that you were there to learn technique and learn leverage and learn about what it is we're getting up to. But, it broadens your horizons. Every person's different. And some people bring exactly what's needed, and some people bring a whole bunch of bags with them that they have to slowly shed. And that's a part of it, and that's what time does, and that's what regular practice does. Yeah, we all bring some sort of baggage onto the mat. It's part of the deal. You try to leave it at the door. You try to leave it when you show courtesy and go onto the mats. But it always gets brought with you. You don't have a choice. We're humans. Yeah.
There's like moments where you just had a bad day, or for me, when I would like cry on the mats or get upset, it was my body was failing me, and then that would make me upset, and then
frustration
that
cries
would make me cry.
It's one of those things as well, when you do physical exercise like BJJ that can be quite intense, it really strips you down a bit, and so sometimes the stuff that you're trying to push away gets really raw in that moment, or it comes out because of the physical exercise as well.
How about the young man that shows up that's been lifting weights for 4 or 5 years, and he's strong as an ox, but he has no clue, and you see tears in his eyes because he thinks to himself, I've wasted all this time. I've been walking around thinking I'm this big tough guy, and this skinny freaking Canadian dude is choking my neck at will. And you got to understand, the whole time that's happening, when the big strong guy walks in, this is early days. I'm okay. I didn't think I was the best ever. Yeah. I'm shitting myself. And trying my best to make sure that I cleanly finish the person, to give him the impression that's required. Yeah. You know, having that understanding, that having slickness in the way that I have gone in this progression, you know, this ranking business, mine is very unorthodox. Mine involved way too much travel. Mine involved a whole lot of spinning my wheels with people to try to gain enough traction. It's not easy. It'd be so easy if you just lived next to the academy with, you know, Marcelo Garcia, or that lived in California and could study with Eddie Bravo, and you know, like if you could just walk around the corner and you had that guy from the start and that's all you had, well, yeah, you're probably gonna have enough to make you crystallize into this what everybody thinks of as a talented grappler, talented martial artist. And there's so many talents and there's so much ground to cover.
Did you start using, like when the technology became, you know, with YouTube, did you start using that as an opportunity to learn more for yourself, or were you always more inclined to get it from actual people?
I always endeavored to join into the association stuff. Machado Jiu-Jitsu is I remember when I bought Higgins' book on leg locks. Yeah. I was studying in Queensland, and I bought a book on leg locks, and of course that's how we initially started to learn stuff, other than by training with people that were more experienced than you, which was rare. I'm a visual learner. Yeah. I can watch something once or twice and then make my body do it fairly easily, and I'm not bragging, it's just the way that it is. I'm
fairly similar to that as well.
Of course I learn by listening and I learn by doing, but all I need to do is watch it once. So then of course the internet comes along and you go, oh, I can watch Hoist Crazy beat that guy again. And of course that was one of those big things that I thought, hey, I'm watching that again. Yeah. And over and over and over again. Then you realize that there's so much possibility for me to just expose myself to see and then test it out. Yeah. To see and then test it out.
Yeah, or even just while you're rolling and you come into that sort of scenario and it sort of triggers in your brain, you go, I've seen this before. Absolutely. And you can try it straight away.
Yeah. And you do a whole lot of floundering when you do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's
a lot of trial and error, but that's...
You know, it's if it was just about getting a black belt, I just would have bought one online. The journey is the most important part. Yeah. The trials and tribulations, the associations, the friendships, the tears, the injuries, all that stuff that's what makes it real. You know, to amass the skill set that you need to even just survive, to walk onto, let's say, a competition mat, takes years and years. Yeah. And that's all I have. I don't know how many I have, but that's all that I have. So
it's definitely awesome, like going up and competing and having you compete as well, because you don't see that very often, that like holistic team approach to competing, like including the coach. It just kind of, I think it sets everyone up for like a really good path, because you're like, yeah, I want to do that too, and they've got people to kind of, right, I want to do that. And I know I've seen you compete and do specific things, and I was like, that is cool. I'd never seen you pull that stuff off normally on the mat, but because we're like watching you and like seeing the control and like a certain movement, I've taken that on board and I've picked that just purely seeing you compete and do something specific. And I was like, that's awesome. And I think it's next level to have your coach like watch them compete and see.
You don't often get to see them
being pressure
at their
tested.
Well, yeah, even just at their full level. Like we don't really probably get to experience you much at your full capacity, and
my full
don't really get to see.
Was maybe 20 years ago. Right? I think that's something that a lot of people don't really understand as well. I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu really late. Yeah. You know, I was an old man when I started. In my opinion, this is a young man's sport, the competitive format. All the other benefits, of course, I've reaped the entire time. But as far as the sport aspect goes, competing. Obviously, I'm competitive. Obviously, I enjoy that, and I'm prepared to lose. I have nothing to stop me from losing. It's easy. Losing is easy. Wanting to lose, well, that's not something I want. But wanting to try my best and And
accepting that loss is a factor in that.
that's so easy.
It's a 50-50 chance. Like,
But
let's be honest.
there would have been people out there that would have said to me, you should be careful how much you compete, because if you lose, people aren't gonna think the same about how much you know. And
Really?
it's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not the way it's gonna work for me. I'd rather lose 20 times and show that I'm keen to go. Demonstrate to people that I'm teaching that, hey, this is scary. This is fun. I'm excited and I'm packing it all at the same time. And I'm going to try my best to maintain my senses and do this. Do
Well,
what
there
it
are
is I know.
black belts that I know that I've never seen compete either.
Yeah.
And, there's something really cool about seeing someone that, encourages their students to compete and then backs it up by competing themselves as well. Like as...
I like I said, for years, I've always wanted to. I've always led the charge, driving up to Perth and back. It's a big deal for us to compete.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that. You guys know the commitments that's required,
Yeah.
not just the training.
Yeah.
Imagine driving 20 minutes to the venue. Ugh,
Yeah.
it's so good.
That would be
That'd
the
be
dream.
awesome.
Oh,
and
God.
and I'm not making a complaint. It's just the way that it is. The injury business is that's the hard part. When you get certain injuries and you just continue to compete, it's not necessarily the greatest idea. But I did that for a long time, and now that I'm where I am now, I look back and I go, I probably should have paid more attention to a couple of those injuries.
Yeah.
Hindsight's
For
a lovely thing.
your longevity and stuff.
Hindsight's 2020. And me being able to teach and pass on and compete, I still that's what I endeavor to do. I love to do so, but I don't think I can compete in as much competitions as I used to. And there's way more competitions these days.
Yeah.
In the old days, there was like 4 competitions in a year,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And what happened? Everybody went.
Yeah.
There'd be
Big events.
2 pages of brackets
Yeah.
for blue belt.
Yeah.
Right? Not white belt. There'd be 3 or 4 pages for white belt. Right? So imagine that in the time that it's happened, it's changed in that way too. The number of competitions, which makes it so not everybody in the Perth scene crosses paths if that's the case.
Yeah.
Too many comps, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's a business too. There's people running businesses out there and trying
I
to
think
make money.
we've made it to a pretty good number of comps this year.
Well, I've burnt out 100%. I cannot be bothered competing like this towards the end of the year. I feel like I did too much at the start of the year and I've just slowly burnt out and now I'm just at the end.
The last couple of years for competition has been injury plagued.
Yeah.
And nasty injuries. So and I've competed with them.
Yeah.
You could call it ignorance, I guess. Yeah, it is.
I don't think I've
but
ever not competed uninjured.
Yeah. It's great.
I've always
It is
been
rare.
injured.
It's rare. But, oh well.
It's exciting the day that I'm jealous of those people like, oh no, I'm perfect. I hate you.
Give him a high five and say,
Yeah.
I just broke my face yesterday. You did what? He says, yeah, I think my face is broken. My eyeball's moving in my head. Wait till Monday for the MRI. Competition's on Sunday.
What do you reckon has been the worst injury that you've had?
My neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty important.
Yeah.
Ribs the most painful, maybe next to the neck,
Yeah.
but when you bulge a disc, it's savage. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. It's a recurring thing as well, that sort of... Well,
they do the
it
MRI
flares up
and
and
ask you when you bulge the other segment in your spine, and you go, "Oh, what?" You say, "Yeah, you've got another bulge," and then you go, "Oh yeah, I remember that darce that I put on me." I remember getting planted on my head really hard one time and not being able to move my arms for a few days and stuff. As in, like, it just pained.
Yeah.
Nasty. But yeah, the neck, ribs.
has that been a couple of years?
I had
How long was
yeah,
that?
it's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
I had an avulsion on my hip once, which is your adductors attach onto your pubic bone, and it pulls a little bit of bone away.
Nah.
That was savage. That was my half guard days.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do anything else. And I literally would go to half guard and lose points. Like they get an advantage straight away because I can't hold them in guard.
Yeah.
I go half guard and then I look to sweep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad, but it was good. It taught you how to do. You have to wrestle through your injuries sometimes.
I think that forces you to another side, having an injury, because if it's like your go-to thing all the time, and an injury is like, nope, that gate's closed and you have to start. It forces you to look elsewhere. So I tried to look at all my injuries like that. Is, okay, what can I, like, where's the other opening and where's the other pathway that we can look at that I can actually do?
I'd have to say throughout my time of doing any martial arts since the beginning, if I broke my hand, I would practice kicking. And I would do that whilst I had the broken hand. And, you know, if I hurt my hip, I would do something to make it so that I was able to still continue, not as efficiently as effectively, not dominating necessarily, but certainly learning how to, you know, defend at a bad position, which is what an injury is, a bad position. Yeah.
It definitely helped me seeing how you went about things. I tried to really adapt how I did things and, like, still tried to come. And
being there to watch, once again, as a visual learner, being there to experience and understand it here, not necessarily the kinetic side of things, because sometimes you just can't, but just exposing yourself. I guess that goes back to the internet business too. If you have access to the internet and you're a visual learner, and then you have some sort of physical dexterity to add to that, then you could kind of start to learn stuff. Still, I believe, needs an eye. There's still a feel that you don't get from watching it on video.
Yeah.
I need to feel.
Me too.
I
pull people on top of me and say, you need to feel this. I want you to do this. You need to feel this. So I do it to them and they go, oh, that's what it is. That's not nice. Why would you do that?
It's like when being like the demonstrative person with you, you're like, yes, fine, I'm good.
Jeff sent me something the other day of cartoon with this dude with his eyeballs poking out of his head, and when the caption is when Sensei's showing the technique and teaching the class and
looks up to me like.
Every once in a while you look down and his eyeballs are popping out of his head and you go, oh, are you okay? But,
I remember sitting
I've
in
been
a
there too,
triangle,
though.
but like, and you're just chatting away and then it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
Pretty sure we all know how to tap. But yeah, and I've been there too. I've been on the opposite end as an uke for many demonstrations, and I know what it's like.
I feel like I don't know the impact that I have sometimes when I'm rolling. Like, you know, sometimes when you're demonstrating me or rolling me, there's a certain position you have that feels like crap for me, but you wouldn't know unless they were actually like, that really hurts. And so I don't know necessarily certain things that I do that actually have that effect on other people. I think that's something I just need to pay more attention to, because some of it's really effective because it means that they're closer to giving up because they want to give up position because you're positioned awkwardly for them. And like I've noticed there's been times when I've rolled with people and they feel like shit when they're on me, and I'm just like, you can just have that position because I feel really uncomfortable.
When I teach kids, I teach them to run away. I teach them if they are assaulted to defend themselves. And then I tell them, you need to get the person on the ground, get the dominant position and make them cry. And just hold them there. Don't let them up. And it works. It truly works. If it works for adults, like as in grown men, which is usually what I do when somebody new comes in, I don't try to put submissions on new people. I just crush them. Just hold them down. I just outmaneuver them so that I'm always in a dominant position, and you break their spirit. And to me, if you break somebody's spirit, submissions are easy after that. Yeah. They kind of give up and they do stupid things as well. They start flailing, they start throwing their arms out.
Do you have like a memory of someone coming into the gym and like you've kind of had to really go harder on them to tone them down? Do you have some doozies that you have?
Troy used to call it attitude adjustment. And seriously, even as a blue belt under him, there'd be 15 new white belts on the mat in a class, and there'd be some that were just, they're aggressive and they're fighting, and that's what we're doing. And for some people, it's a little bit too much, and then for other people, it's no, that's exactly what it is. It's what we're fighting. And he'd come over and he'd say, "Can you just make sure that guy has a little attitude adjustment?" And if I couldn't do it, I'd go, I can't do it, man. The guy's killing me. And then, of course, he would send somebody else over and give him an attitude adjustment, which means it usually just meant crush them a little bit. Usually meant just hold them down a little bit. I think it actually, that pressure that pressure helps people to learn that respect from each other, for each other.
Makes them sort of realize their own mortality in a sense.
Appreciate the delicate balance that we actually have here. We are tough as boots, but it doesn't take much.
Yeah.
It's a strange dichotomy that happens there. It's the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Attitude adjustments. I try to communicate. I try to appeal to people's intellect rather than have to go to that. But guess what? I always go hard at somebody. At some point in time, in the time we're training, I'm gonna try to crush you. Of course, I'm gonna try to break your arm or legs. It's just what we do. I don't actually think I've ever broken somebody's arm or leg proper. I know I've wrecked them a little bit, but the same things happen to me.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think we grow from that.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone has their time.
It's like, I think we're like the few people, like your best friend. Oh yeah, I've been like hit multiple times in the face by my best friend. It's fine. We hurt each other more than anyone else in the other world.
Joe kicked me in the face today. Didn't bleed, but I got a fat lip.
Sorry.
I can feel it.
Yeah, I can see it actually. Whoopsies.
She said she was gonna do that. She came to me.
Where did you learn that? If you can laugh at that sort of stuff happening, then I think that you're in the right place.
Yeah.
If you can't laugh at that, then maybe you're not in the right place, or maybe you're not doing something that suits you. If you have to water that shit down, then you're not practically learning to fight. How does somebody that's never experienced a self-defense circumstance teach self-defense? How does that work?
Yeah.
How does that work? Explain that to me. It's like a surgeon's never done surgery does surgery. It doesn't make sense. So you can't do that. You've got to practice.
Yeah.
You've got to experience the real deal. If you don't experience the real deal,
it's like work experience with any job. It's like you got to do work experience with any skilled job.
Yeah, 6 years policing is work experience.
Yeah.
Not to mention as a kid, as a young wrestler, we didn't have any hesitation in getting in fights.
Yeah.
It's just what you did.
Yeah.
In ice hockey, two guys, they bump into each other, something happens, they get pissed off, they drop their gloves and they have a fight. And then what do? They get thrown in the penalty box and they come back on, they play the rest of the game later. It's okay.
Yeah. It's such a funny concept about the ice hockey. They full on just scrap and it's just, cool.
Sometimes they shake hands afterwards. Just like an MMA fight. And some people think that it's brutality. I don't think that it is. I think that it's interaction.
Yeah.
It's just volatile, aggressive, violent interaction between humans. We would have had to do that to find food. We would have had to do that to find our mate so we could make children out of us. We want to continue our line. You would have to fight for that. You don't just get who you want. You have to fight for it. It's deep inside of us, the fighting business.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It just has to be respected. I think. If we didn't fight, we wouldn't be anywhere. Yeah. It's a funny thing. And I love it. And if I see people fighting in the real world, I think, what are you idiots doing?
Commentate on the side and be like, where's your underhook?
I definitely don't stand around and watch fights, Never. Yeah. I was the sort of person that would run in the middle and say, who wants to fight me? Seriously. Yeah, and then I get my ass kicked, but that's just the way it goes.
It's funny how natural, just even watching, if you've been in the pub and the guys start fighting, you're like, you guys have got terrible technique. And walk away.
That's it. I'm going to buy another beer. This is a joke. These guys are shit. Yeah, it's and in the modern day when we get to watch, professionals that enter in that context, you kind of go, oh, wow. I bet you that guy doesn't go down to the pub and get in fights. Yeah. Think about it.
No.
And they have amazing control.
Yeah.
And it's just like, nah, don't need to engage. And it surprises me that other people don't, they will just start fights willy-nilly. You don't know if that guy that you just stirred up is like a Muay Thai champion. Or it's...
Or you. Right? How many people out there, might think that Hannah's just a pushover. And then she fucking arm drags him and chokes her ass out on the ground and puts him in
puts
him in the recovery position and runs away. You know what I mean?
I don't want you to ever get harassed or anything, but I would also love to see something like that happen. Like, it would just be so entertaining for me.
And that's real. That's one of the keep your cards close to your chest. Utilize that when you need it.
Thanks. I think I explain that to people is if I ever, like, jiu-jitsu has taught me, if I get in trouble, I won't come out of it unscathed, but I will sure as hell put up a hell of a fight and they will wish they never picked on me. Like, at the end of the day, I will be that person. I know that strong possibility I'm going to get hurt. But at least I can defend myself and, like, I'm going to try and break you.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't easy pickings for them.
Yeah, and I feel that that's what, like, jiu-jitsu's taught me is, like, at least I know now that I can do that and have that mentality is, like, going in a knife fight, you're going to get hurt. But just don't go down dark alleys. Try and, like, pick better surroundings.
Situational awareness.
Yeah.
There's a Shaolin precept. Hurt rather than be hurt. Maim rather than be maimed. Kill rather than be killed. And that sums up really what learning self-defense should be all about. And you know, you're not out there wanting to go around armbar everybody in the street. Yeah. You know, or throw leg kicks at somebody because they give you a funny look.
Some people. Just kidding.
You might feel this in this imagination, but you also know that, well, if I do this, I gotta come to the party for sure. It's on.
Yeah, there's consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't choke out all the stupid people.
No, you can't choke people out and make them smart. It doesn't work that way. They're probably just a little bit dumber as a result. Just a little bit dumber.
You're doing worse to society by choking them out.
You might be breaking a few brain cells when you squeeze their neck really hard. You never know, you know? Yeah. It's a fun game.
Oh, dear.
Do you remember, like, the first time teaching a girl that, like, cried? Was it really awkward for you?
Now, I grew up with sisters.
Yeah, daughters, I suppose, as well. So.
Oh, yeah. Daughters. I believe I'm pretty sensitive, and I feel when they're upset. Yeah. But I don't. It doesn't trouble me. I just think to myself, this is where you're at. You need to do this. It happened today on the mat. One of the girls that's competing, she just got upset. She cried. When am I going to get upset? I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to be there. I'm going to try to be the sounding board, to try to weather it, to grab one side of that bag and carry it for a little while, and then say, "See, you're going to be good." And then I let go of the bag and say, "You can hold on to that now. You can let those tears out anytime you wish. It's not a problem. It's natural." Everybody has to.
Find that hard part, the role of being a coach. There are some people who find it really hard to deal with crying and tears and stuff. Especially
they don't understand where it comes from, that it's not necessarily like being upset. It's usually just a frustration like place, and girls just have a tendency to cry. Like that's how we work.
It's our
whether you like
outlet.
it or not.
No, I'm highly emotionally charged. I cry.
Yeah. I
cry because of sadness, and I cry because of happiness. And I completely accept that. That's a good thing. That's a human trait. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
You're one of the annoying people that you're like, I'm fine. And then you come over and like, are you okay? And then you start crying. You're the person that seems to be able to set me off. Rude.
Well, I think that happens to me. There's you and like a couple of other guys that I've experienced in that. I'm like, I know that if a man knows that I'm upset, it must be bad. So then that makes me even more upset. I'm like, I must not be hiding it very well.
I don't know how many other men out there in the world have experienced this, but I've had people say to me, "Don't talk to me, you'll make me cry." And it's like, what the fuck did I make you cry? I'm here for you. What do you mean? Oh, I told you you'd make me cry. So, yeah.
But sometimes I think that empathetic link between people can also bring out the emotional, that emotion even more. Where it's like you're holding it together, but then someone really feels that emotion in you, it really actually makes it, it kind of exacerbates it a bit.
Yeah. I've held a lot of people like that. Hugged them, I mean. Yeah, it's a real deal. It's, I don't know, it's part of it. The frustration. If the frustration brings you to tears and you have that response, then fantastic. As long as you take that frustration and tears and turn it into work when it comes to what we're trying to do on the mat.
Yeah.
Cry. Go ahead, cry.
Yeah.
Okay, you done?
Get it out. Bounce back.
Now let's continue with what we're doing now.
Yeah. I found sometimes it's better to let the cry happen and then you can get over it really fast. Whereas if you spend the whole lesson trying to hold it in, sometimes it just ends, you suffer the whole session. Yeah. Whereas like sometimes it's like if you just let it out, let it happen and then come back to it, and you're like, oh, I'm all good now. But usually I'm just like, no, I'm fine.
It's because it's like a boiling level and then the steam is like rising and it's like,
Yeah, I was a professional bottler for many years. Yeah. And you know, as time goes on, I think that you change. If you don't, then you continue to suffer that way. Yeah. You know, so it's definitely something that most anybody probably experiences. Some people don't have that sensitivity, and some people do, and some people need to express it more often than others. Yeah.
You must experience a lot of, I don't want to say baggage, but like you were saying, everyone comes in, they've got their own problems and stuff, and as a coach, and especially in your role, like you must have a lot of that from all your students and stuff.
I'm a massage therapist too, so I put my hands on people that are in pain all the time. Yeah. And yeah, it's hard, and that's the way it is, but I would rather do that than dig holes. I'd rather work with people. It was a discussion with my dad, working as a greenkeeper. He came to work with me one day. We were there for a few hours. He's a pretty restless dude. He doesn't like just sitting around doing nothing. I'm working, kinda. But we're hanging out chatting. He says, you work here by yourself all day? I was like, yeah. I don't know how you could do it. I can't not be around other people. And something clicked in me. And as soon as that happened, within 2-3 months, I got a job policing. So, and it was just like, you know, bam, I'm in training to do that as work, and that's working with people. Yeah. That changes the way that you choose to be, and then of course, all that experience has helped me, in my opinion, to deal with whether it be my massage clients or my students, as it were. You know, I'm happy to help them carry their bags for a little while, if that makes sense. Yeah. That analogy works. Yeah. And then I would hope to maybe, as I'm carrying their bags, kind of go, do you really need this? And then, here, I'll put it back down for you. You can pick it up if you want to. It's one of those things. And it's not necessarily always a pointy sort of specific conversation. It's just like, eventually a lot of these things just resolve. Yeah. It's a part of the deal. It's a question, if you're focused and working on things that you're up to, being in the dojo is a great place to do that. Yeah. Everything else doesn't fucking matter. The things that do matter, you're going to make good decisions about, or make decisions about anyway. Hopefully they're going to be in the same way that you make decisions about escaping out of a bad position. You're going to not try to make it any worse. You're going to try to always make it better. Yeah. And make it so that it suits you rather than the circumstances. That's another one of those martial arts side effects. Yeah. I don't say BJJ or submission grappling. It's martial arts, really. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I reckon we will leave it on that note. Thank you so much for your time. And
thank you.
I'm glad everyone got to hear about you, and because we think you're awesome. Like, no one compares to you, in my opinion, in coaching. Whenever I go and train with anyone else, I'm like, Chris always does it, like, explains this. If I've got, like, that burning question, you're like, but what about this? You usually, like, have always answered it just because I'm used to, like, how you teach. I'm just teaching. It's just like, no one does it the same as you.
I think we're very, very fortunate.
We are.
I think I'm very, very fortunate to have had such an amazing bunch of young people come and hang out with me to do what it is we get up to. It's obvious that I like fighting. But at the same time, I think that I love the people that come to do. And those that choose to continue to work and choose to continue to try to better themselves and feel all of the side effects that come from martial arts, practicing martial arts, being in a team. you can't help but fall in love with and see that family as something that makes every morning worth getting up.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Agreed. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.